two main, I think, opportunities that would justify that cost. The first is if you get into a program that's a life-changing program, right? A Harvard, an INSEAD, because those are places where you're going to meet people who are future leaders of countries. So that's one opportunity that justifies in terms of who your personal network is going to be, what you're going to be exposed to. The second main justification for that cost is if you want to change your profile. If you are in marketing and you really want to go into investing or finance, that's where the MBA becomes, I think, more justified.
It's sort of deciding factor for me. What school do I want to go to? What brand do I want to attach to my resume? And that went into a lot of the thinking of what I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. So MIT was high on that list and I was lucky enough to get in. So both of those absolutely are essential to that decision.
One of the things that's probably overlooked is it's 2 years in your life, assuming you go to a 2-year program where you can just reflect. I think for a lot of people that go to business school, you can use that time to try out something that you really want to do. And if it fails, you can go back to doing exactly what you were doing before or continue pivoting.
It's really a personal and regional discussion and decision because the prices are so different. How are you? The prices are so different. And that has to be thought through because you're absolutely right. In the US, there's a lot of secondary or tertiary schools in terms of quality that are charging the same price as a Harvard, as an MIT, because they can. And that becomes a question of, is that worth it from an opportunity cost as well as it's just an outlay?
And by the way, to the list, I think it'd be fair, because you say regionally, which is really important, to add U of T for the people online, adding U of T, adding UBC, adding Western.
INSEAD, right?
INSEAD, there are loads of them that are a good idea.
There's a lot of different things that you run into in the real world that you aren't necessarily prepared for. And for instance, like if you work in a private equity fund and you own a business and you're trying to grow sales, what's the right way to build a sales force? How do you invest in marketing? How do you deal with HR issues? How do you deal with just organizational issues? And all of these things were classes that I was fortunate enough to take at business school. And it was a phenomenal chance just to learn in a very concentrated way. And so then when you go back out in the workforce, it's now you're equipped with a much better tool set.
It's 2 years of speed dating. Like it's building relationships, meeting new people, connecting in like a very short time frame. And I would say that was probably the most valuable thing that I got away from it, was just realizing how important it was to like build real connections in short periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I think about all four of us, it's exactly what we talked about. Like the MBA in each of our cases allowed us to both change, but then more importantly, accelerate our career path, right? In terms of what we otherwise would have achieved, or otherwise we were on the path of, and that's the purpose. That's what each of us have to kind of like figure out. How do we tap into that? How do we create that?
The students that I think really excel are willing to be wrong and are willing to challenge me, because if I wanted to hear my own echo, and like this isn't an accounting class, right? I don't teach an accounting class where this is how you do it, suck it up, that's how the rules work, right? But if you're teaching an investing class, well, what about that? Or what about that? And you can tell the people who are mentally engaged and come to class sort of prepared. It's a unique blend, but there's generally one student that really does stand out at the end of the year, and they have most of all, they have a willingness to be wrong in public and throw out a potentially brilliant idea. And if you get one really brilliant idea and 10 lousy ones, you're doing okay.
I think I went into business school looking for breadth and flexibility and looking to just sample as much as I can. Again, that's unique to me because I went to an undergrad school and I got a finance degree. And so I felt like those foundational, and then I worked in finance. So I felt like some of those foundational skills, and my goal wasn't then to go back into hedge fund, private equity fund, whatever it was. And so I really went in trying to expand my horizon and try to experience as many things as possible. That was sort of how I approached it.
it's quite possible that for them, the University of Texas, if you're interested in energy, or there are other schools interested in alternative energies, maybe Stanford might again be a really good place for that. And probably actually some of the Canadian universities could lead the world in that stuff. So think carefully about the school and its fit with you almost as much. You want to associate a good brand, but there's a good number of schools in that level.
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to give my thoughts to this question because it's a great question. It's
a great question.
And really, if you think about, advanced manufacturing and energy or anything like that, the purpose of an MBA is to help make you a better leader, right? And leadership is really around identifying objectives, making a better decision, communicating that, and then helping execute, right? Sticking to that course, and then building the motivation and the buy-in from a team to be able to deliver that. A good school will help you with all that, and not just in the classroom, but also what you're learning outside, right? Making a tough decision and then being able to execute against that decision is the foundation of leadership. That's what an MBA program should be hopefully helping you get to, leaving aside the finance, the functional specifics like that. But if that's what you need and you're looking for, then that should be something that, and I think Fabio is great, it's a great point, which is that from a functional standpoint, there might be geographic programs that are better suited. But I think in terms of the actual learnings of leadership, this is something that hopefully any of these great programs should be able to teach.
So thank you very much for all of your candor, your insight, your authenticity, the perspectives you've shared. This is the value of the UCC Old Boy Network. And I know that these conversations happen one-on-one year-round through our Common Ties network, but to be able to deliver it, as the MBAs say, at scale, through a platform such as this is really, really remarkable. So thank you for agreeing to be a part of this, all of you.